hope, but we hope too. We hope too, because that's really important to Pennsylvania, really important to this congressional district. Jobs, infrastructure, we'd like a little road work, everybody would like that, and that's great. That's going to be great for Pennsylvania. We're really privileged to have you here in Gettysburg today. Got some great citizens that ready to receive your message, so thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Scott, and I'm privileged to be here today to support Scott's effort, as I know all of you here are doing, so I applaud you for that. I got to tell you, before I talk a little about Washington, on one of my exciting Friday nights about a month ago, I was sitting at home going through the channels, and PCN came on. There was a debate, and it was the several candidates from this district, which I wasn't really paying much attention. I knew who was running a little bit, and didn't really know Scott, met him once or twice before. So I'm sitting there watching this debate, and these people are talking about what they're going to do when they go to Washington, but there was only one person there that was talking that when he goes to Washington, how he's going to have to figure out how to get 217 people on his side to move legislation forward. And they weren't showing, I couldn't see the names that well, but I kept looking, and I knew he was a military guy, so the haircut kind of gave him away. And I said, that must be Scott Perry. He said, I really like that guy. And so the next day I started making some calls and said, look, if I can be helpful, I want to be helpful, because the guy I saw talking, the guy that impressed me, that's the guy I want to serve in Washington with. Because the challenges we face in this country today with a $15 trillion debt, spending at 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 trillion a year, deficits every year, year in and out. We've got an administration and a Senate that likes the uncertainty out there, which we know if you're going to create jobs, and we have to create jobs, you've got to create some certainty out there. Businesses have to know that if what their tax bill is going to be, or what the regulatory regime is going to be under they have to operate, or what their health care is going to cost them. And right now, we don't know any of that. We have a president and folks in Congress talking about raising taxes, Obamacare, which is, I believe, is going to be the death nail to the U.S. economy if it's allowed to go forward. Because of what it'll do to businesses and what businesses will do to their employees by taking them off their plans because they can't afford them and let them go into the government plan. So that has to be stopped to put certainty out there. This administration and its regulatory burden it's putting on our businesses is just day in and day out. I see it. I watch it on TV, but I have first-hand experience. One of the administrators from PHMSA, they regulate pipeline safety and hazardous materials in this country. We passed a bill. One of the only bills we passed came out of my subcommittee last year. Passed the House with voice vote, which means it's unanimous. Passed the Senate 94-2. The President signed it. When she came up to tell me what the President's budget was going to do, they basically ignored the piece of legislation that the President passed. And that's what they do day in and day out with these regulations. So we've got to have people in Congress that know what it's like out here in the real world. We need somebody who knows what it's like to run a small business, which the gentleman that you're supporting does that, having a small business. We need somebody who knows the most important thing we do in Washington is national security. Provide this nation's security, the common defense. And what you have here is somebody still in the United States military, served in Iraq. So that's the kind of people we want in Washington. But we also want somebody that, as I said, going back to that debate I was watching, somebody who understands the legislative process. He's not running for the king of the United States. Those other 6 or 7, I think that's what they thought they were running for, because they said, well, I'm going to Washington and this is what I'm going to do. Well, now, they all wanted to do things that I agreed with, but you got to go through this legislative process, and he has the experience to go to Washington and knows what it's like to build a coalition, to get legislation, to get 217 other people have to support what he's doing before it passes the House and then 60 in the Senate. Having somebody that understands that legislative process, not a career politician, he's certainly not that, but he's somebody who has the experience to understand and maneuver in a legislative process to get things done for the people of America, for the people here in the congressional district, and for the state of Pennsylvania. So that's why I'm here today, to be here and talk to you, answer any questions you have, but most importantly to say I'm going to support 100% Scott Perry for Congress, because he's exactly the kind of guy that I want to see in Washington, D.C., serving side by side. Our districts are contiguous, so I look forward to having a close relationship with him as I had with Todd Platts, and working to generate the environment, to create those jobs, building infrastructure. I think it's extremely important, and there is a federal role in that, as well as a state and a local role. So those are all the kinds of things that I know Scott supports, I support, so I'm very confident that when he's in Congress serving with me, we're going to have a great relationship, a great productive relationship. So again, I applaud all of you for being here today. Thank you very much for your support for Scott and wanting to send somebody that's going to be a great representative of the people here in central Pennsylvania.